Las Vegas Raiders news. A look at the latest rumors, Raider Nation. What's up? First off, there's some important updates around the silver and black that you need to know. Let's kick things off with some off-season workout dates you'll want to mark on your calendar. The first day of off-season workouts starts on April 8th. Then we have the voluntary minicamp for the newly signed players, which will take place from April 21st to April 23rd. After that, OTAs, off-season workouts, are set for May 19th to 21st, then from May 22nd to 23rd, and finally from May 27th to 30th. Mandatory minicamp will wrap up this busy schedule starting June 10th. Before we dive into the juicy rumors, let's take a quick break. Before listening to the latest news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated on all things Raiders. Now let's get into it. The first big rumor on the radar is about Joe Milton. The Raiders were reportedly interested in bringing in the quarterback, but here's the twist. He's been traded to the Dallas Cowboys. This is the kind of move that got fans talking, especially with the other teams that were in the mix like the Eagles, Giants, and Steelers. Sources say that the Patriots had a better offer on the table, but out of respect for Milton, they sent him to the Cowboys where he always wanted to go. Why? Because his family are Cowboys fans, and that's where he felt most at home. But here's the trade breakdown. The Cowboys acquired Milton along with a 7th-round pick, while New England received a 5th-round pick in return. Now, what does this mean for the Raiders? Well, seeing them interested in Milton shows they're actively exploring options at quarterback. Even though Milton is now a Cowboy, the Raiders' interest in him speaks volumes about their current QB search. Stay tuned for more updates as we continue to track all the latest on the Raiders' moves and rumors. Las Vegas Raiders quarterback plans. What's next? There's been a lot of talk about the Raiders' quarterback situation, and I've been saying for a while now that they're likely to take a quarterback later in the draft, maybe on day 3. As of now, Aidan O'Connell is the backup quarterback, but we know the Raiders are always looking to add competition. Earlier this offseason, they showed interest in Zach Wilson, but he didn't end up coming to Las Vegas. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Raiders were also very interested in Joe Milton. If you're looking at a player like Milton or Wilson, you're clearly preparing to develop a quarterback who can learn behind a seasoned starter. That starter? Geno Smith. With the recent contract extension for Geno Smith, it's clear that the Raiders are planning to develop a quarterback under his guidance. The extension for Geno Smith was a big move. 2 years, $75 million, potentially up to $85.5 million, with $66.5 million guaranteed. When you add in the deal Geno already had, you're looking at a 3-year, $106 million commitment. This shows that the Raiders truly believe in Geno Smith, and rightfully so. In 2023, he was the second most accurate quarterback in the NFL, and in 2021 and 2022, he was ranked number 1 in accuracy. Those are incredible numbers. So, yes, the Raiders are definitely planning on developing a quarterback. And this shouldn't come as a surprise. For anyone who's been following this show, you know that this has been part of the plan all along. The Raiders have been focused on developing a quarterback who can learn and grow over multiple seasons. The interest in Milton just reinforces that strategy. Now, John Speight recently mentioned that Geno will be with the team for years to come, which lines up perfectly with the Raiders' vision. They didn't draft Aidan O'Connell, so developing a quarterback has been part of their long-term strategy. Stay tuned because I'll be breaking down which quarterbacks are currently on the Raiders' radar for development, and trust me, these are players with real connections to the silver and black. You won't want to miss this. Las Vegas Raiders quarterbacks to watch in the draft. Let's dive into the exciting quarterbacks the Raiders are keeping an eye on. We know that the Raiders are looking for a quarterback who can develop over time, and these players are all part of that conversation. First up, Shedeur Sanders. The Raiders had a combine interview with him, and what stands out is his connection to Tom Brady, who's been mentoring Shedeur since 2020. According to NFL draft expert Tom Downey, Shedeur could be taken in the 2nd round. though there's a possibility he falls out of the first round, which might surprise some people. Personally, I don't see the Raiders taking him at number 6 overall, but he could be a consideration later. I think they'll wait until day 3 to make a move for a quarterback, but Shedeur Sanders is definitely a name to watch. Next, we have Jackson Dart, another quarterback who had a formal meeting with the Raiders at the NFL Combine. Dart played high school football with Jackson Powers Johnson, a player who's expected to be a key part of the team. While Dart has a strong ability to throw the ball deep, his footwork and technique need a lot of improvement. He's not yet ready to play at the NFL level and would need at least 2 years to develop. If the Raiders decide to take Dart in round 2, it would be a bold move, but I personally think it would be a bit of a stretch. I'd be disappointed if they selected him that early, as it might not be the best move for the team right now. We'll keep an eye on these quarterbacks and others as the NFL draft approaches. The Raiders are clearly looking for a future quarterback who can learn and grow, but who will they choose? Let's see how this all plays out. Las Vegas. Raiders, quarterbacks who could be the future. Let's talk about some more quarterbacks that are making waves on the Raiders' radar. These players are likely candidates for the team to draft, and they each bring something unique to the table. First up is Will Howard. The guy just won a national championship with Chip Kelly, and the Raiders have already met with him both at the Combine and during a top 30 visit. NFL draft expert Tom Downey believes Howard could be drafted in round 4. He's an intriguing prospect, and it's clear the Raiders are taking a serious look at him. Next, we have Jalen Milroe. He's starting to gain a reputation as a sleeper pick, and if the Raiders were interested in a project like Joe Milton, Milroe could be the perfect fit. Milroe is an athletic freak, an absolute alien in terms of his physical ability. The Raiders had a formal interview with him at the Combine, and he also had a top 30 visit. Milroe may not be ready to start right away, but with the right development, he could be a force. According to a trusted Raiders source, they like him not just for his athleticism, but for his mindset and potential. He will need time, but the Raiders could be the perfect team to develop him. Then there's Kyle McCord, who the Raiders met with at the NFL Combine. He spent several years at Ohio State from 2021 to 2023, so there's a bit of a connection there with some of the coaches and players. Tom Downey sees McCord as a round 5 prospect, and while he's not the flashiest name, his experience could make him a solid developmental option for the Raiders. Finally, if I had to pick one quarterback who could be the Raiders' top selection, it might be Quinn Ewers. He's the only quarterback who has a top 30 visit, met with the Raiders at his pro day, and also had a meeting at the NFL Combine. While he may not be my personal top choice, Ewers has all the tools that could make him a standout option for the Raiders in the draft. So, who will the Raiders ultimately choose? Only time will tell, but these quarterbacks are definitely worth keeping an eye on as the draft draws closer. The Raiders' hidden QB gems. Who could be the future leader of Las Vegas? Let's dive into a few more names that are creating real buzz in Raiders circles. Quarterbacks who could be picked on day 3 of the draft but might just hold the keys to the franchise's future. Starting with Quinn Ewers. He's the only QB in this draft class who had a top 30 visit, met the Raiders at his pro day, and also had an NFL Combine interview. That tells you one thing: the Raiders are definitely interested. Ewers has the talent, no doubt, but he needs serious time to develop. And who better to guide him than a mastermind like Chip Kelly? Among the day 3 prospects, 4 names stand out the most: Will Howard, Kyle McCord, Jalen Milroe, and Quinn Ewers. If we're talking upside, Milroe might be the most electric option. He's raw but explosive, and pairing him with someone like running back Ashton Jeanty could be a thrilling combo in the future. Yes, Milroe had a rough patch last season, but let's be real. Losing Nick Saban shook Alabama. Still, under the right coaching, Milroe could thrive in Vegas. Here's how I'd rank them: Jalen Milroe, dynamic, athletic, and moldable; Kyle McCord, solid, mechanics, smart decisions; Will Howard, proven winner, but needs time; Quinn Ewers, high risk, high reward. But the conversation doesn't end there. There's one more name you should know: Cam Miller from North Dakota State. He might not be flashy, but don't sleep on him. He had a top 30 visit with the Raiders, which is a big deal. Combined visits come and go. Top 30 visits are where serious interest is shown. Miller is a two-time FCS national champion and has shown the ability to run an offense with precision. Yes, he's undersized, and yes, quarterbacks from North Dakota State haven't exactly set the NFL on fire recently. But what makes Miller stand out is his execution. He does exactly what you ask him to do. No flair, no ego, just focus. In the late rounds or as an undrafted free agent, he's the kind of guy who could quietly come in and compete. So, as the draft nears, keep these names in mind. The Raiders might just find their future quarterback in a place no one expected. Is Devin White the answer, or just a temporary fix for the Raiders? Let's talk about one of the most debated names on the Las Vegas Raiders roster right now, Devin White. After joining the Raiders on a one-year deal, many fans instantly assumed he'd be a starter next to Elandon Roberts. But let's pump the brakes. Yes, he's got talent. Yes, he's got experience. But the contract tells a different story. Just over $1 million in cap hit? That's not what teams pay a cornerstone linebacker. That's what they pay a player who has something to prove. Here's the reality. The Raiders want to believe in Devin White. They're giving him a shot, but they're not putting all their chips on him. That's why there's growing buzz around Las Vegas drafting a linebacker early. Not late, not as an afterthought. Early. Names like Jackson Wood, Carson Suessinger, Danny Stutzman, and Cody Simon have all popped up on the Raiders' radar. And honestly, any of them might give more consistency in year one than Devin White. These aren't just draft names being thrown around. These are guys the Raiders have met with, scouted, and seriously considered. Devin White could still be useful, especially if you let him rush the passer and play aggressive. That's where he thrives. But if you're asking him to be your every down linebacker, calling plays and locking down the middle of the field, that might be asking too much. Here's the bigger picture. Insiders have said for months that Las Vegas is laser-focused on three positions: quarterback, offensive line, and linebacker. So far, we've seen that in action. They've been building the trenches. The Geno Smith rumors keep swirling. And now, linebackers heating up. So, don't be surprised if the Raiders take a linebacker early in the draft. Devin White might be part of the plan, but he's not the plan. And if Las Vegas wants a defense that can dominate, they'll need more than just hope. They'll need someone who can lead that linebacker room from day one.